Hey guys, it's Angel. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're taking a look at Carenado's brand new Cessna 210. Now this aircraft is a 6-seat high-performance retractable single-engine Cessna, which it seems like a lot of them, I admit, yes. But this one has 2 more seats and it's faster. That makes a lot of difference in the Cessna world. But stay with me. The original 210 were originally 4-seaters. They had an IO 470 and put out about 260 horsepower, and it was essentially a 182 Bravo with retractable gear and a swept tail and new wings, so 182 RG on steroids. But the 61 year brought around major change to the fuselage and wing, so we got the third window, and we also got the now eponymous lack of wing strut. So a whole new fuselage design, a whole new wing design, and we have what the 210 is today. Now, these were produced between 57 and 86. 9,200 were built, so quite a lot of them. And it's in a similar family to 205, 206, and 207 of the Cessnas. So a turbo one, which is what we have here, is powered by a Continental TSIO 520, which is an air-cooled turbocharged flat 6, putting out 310 horsepower, which is a 3-bladed Macaulay propeller with a top speed of about 204 knots, cruise at 193, and that's talking 20,000 feet there. Stall speed is 58 knots, range 900 miles. Surface ceiling is 27,000 feet. Rate of climb is about 930 feet a minute. Now her takeoff to 50-foot distance is about 2,100 feet. And landing distance from 50 is about 1,500. This is MTOW. So maximum takeoff weight. So pretty decent, to be fair, for what it's offering there. Now, it's in a similar category as the Bonanza, the Saratogas, the Malibus, that sort of aircraft, being that faster 6-seat high cruiser piston aircraft. Oh, Malibu, of course, being largely turboprops there. But the originals were, of course, piston. We're not talking about Malibus. Either way. So this also comes from what Carenado termed their RealXperience. Now, based on what they've said on their social media, RealXperience is, to an extent, a combination of animations, textures, and sounds. So we'll take a quick look around the exterior of the aircraft. Yeah, we'll take off all the bits of features. And, of course, got the usual things like baggage compartments. We have chocaronis. We've got wiggly bits we can wiggle. We always like to wiggle some bits here. There we go. Lots of wiggly stuff here. Now, there is some pixelation on here which makes me wonder if the textures have been upscaled from their original 210. Because the 210 they released in FSX and P3D was their high-quality line, like the 337, like a few of the ones they've recently brought up, that did seem to me to be ports of their earlier versions. The 182... Q was one of those, so it's kind of there's a few that have come up. I know the 185 definitely did. That square pixelation on the texturing does make me think that's a thing, because we've seen that in the past from some of them. But to be fair, the textures are pretty phenomenal, otherwise, apart from some of that, which seems a little bit strange. Now, I will give them some credit, because... Oh, there we go. Look at some of the chipping around here. We've got chipping down to primer by those exhaust cowls, or those cowls. Look at the chipping on the propeller. This is up on what Carenado normally give us in terms of texture quality, and their texture quality is normally fantastic. So, even there, more primer chips around here. So it's just that more used aircraft look to it, and it's not on everyone. It's not super high noticeable, and it varies per livery, but there's a lot more detail level to the surface of the aircraft. Obviously, it'll pick up mud and things on touchdown and dirt like it will for most of the stock aircraft. Even look at the leading edge here. Little bits and dings and marks. Now, there's 2 versions. There's the version with and without this pod. There's the radar pod for the weather radar in the aircraft. You've got a bunch of liveries like one would expect from a Carenado aircraft. And, of course, everything you'd normally come to expect. So let's have a look inside and see what she's like, shall we? Okay, so here we are inside with the normal ability to open windows and doodads. We do like opening doodads. In the back here, we just got some seats. Nice, comfortable seats, including little ones at the back here for people with very tiny legs. Usually called kids. It's a 6-seater as long as you can scrunch in, because you don't want to be expecting any sort of leg room in this kind of flight, if that's the case. Compare the leg room at the front there to that. There's none. Now, like all Carenado's third-party releases that they've done, you can switch out the instrument stack. Now, in this case, that involves having to go up to your tablet for the sim, go to the apps page, and this is where it piles them up. Because unlike the previous one where the aircraft had its own tablet that was just in the aircraft, like in 2020, here they made an app for it. And all these apps for the 33, for the 182, and for the 210 all do the same thing. They have one page that lets you pick between the TDS, PMS, and the stock working title instruments. So it does. You think they have one uniform application that does the same button on all the aircraft, but no. It's one per. And if I'm flying Carenado or not, these are all still here. Because it's installed. I don't like that. But it's not the end of the world. Okay, so we're on here. I'm not going to be touching the primer, so the mixture in sim. I'm going to just be doing it in hardware to see if it's corrected that bug we got, of course, with a couple of their last releases. Because the 182 and the 33 and a few others had the bug where you had to work it in the sim for it to start. Same thing happened to the PA28. So, battery and alternator. Fuel pump is on, and let's go 3 seconds. And it'll be ready to 3, 2, 1, clear prop. Ooh. More panel movement than you normally see with a Carenado. The sounds sounding meaty as well. Interesting. Okay. Let's get our avionics on, shall we? And spinning up here. We've got a weather radar up there, which is quite nice to have, as much as it's useful in the sim. All the usual gadgets, gizmos, and whiz-wazzes and woodahs, as we might come to expect. Let's go outside to have a listen around to this, shall we? There's some more vibration and movement of the aircraft as it's sitting here idling. Sounds aren't terrible. I'll give them credit for that. Okay, not terrible at all. Okay, so we're going to go take her up and take her for a spin here. As always, we'll do some stall testing to see how she generally behaves. So let's get our parking brake off. And I think I need to turn my head tracking back on because I think I turned it off. So there we go. Soon find out if it's working. Yep, here we are. Fantastic. So the RealXperience stuff seems to be largely texture limited right now, or to do with animations, behaviors. I've not really seen it do a lot in terms of sounds. Like some of them, we'll do a grass landing actually. We'll do a grass landing next to the main strip here and see if it sounds different. Okay. So 1 notch flaps here for takeoff. There's a lot more in the soundscape, I think, overall for the aircraft in the general sound pack. So maybe that's part of the RealXperience thing. We're getting much more rich sounds from the prop. Oh, some good tyre sound actually here. Okay. I'm doing this on purpose for science. Don't mind me. This is for science. Ugh. Definitely a rougher landing on the grass. That's for sure. A much rougher bouncy landing on grass. Now, winds are pretty calm here, so we'll just take off facing the opposite way. We've got about 2 knots, so it's not going to really bother me. That was more bouncy and rough. We'll try and do another one and see how that behaves somewhere else, but it seemed to have a bit more liveliness in terms of the suspension, at least on the aircraft. Just get back in the air properly again here. Yes, you don't take off different directions, but the winds are low, it's on purpose, and I'm testing. Now, one thing to always consider with the 210, 337, etc., the 182s, if you're going to be retracting that gear, do not do it when you're super duper close to stall speed, just after takeoff, because it can bite you and cause a bit more drag than you'd like for the aircraft. And when you pull the gear in, bad things will happen. Okay. Flaps coming out. Gain a little altitude here, we'll do some stall practice, and we'll see what she's going to be like for us, and how she behaves. I will say, so far, the RealXperience, unless it's just the outside textures and a couple of animations, there's not a lot to go on. The soundscape seems a little richer, but with the general wider soundscape of default sounds in 24, that's not saying a huge amount. There's already much more interaction with ground, physics and sound, so that's a given. I know they had something like RealXperience or a RealXperience version back in their older aircraft, so it could just be more of that, but for 24. But it's definitely been a little bit more attention paid to damage, nicks and wear and tear, scratches, a bit more life in their aircraft, because they always used to be so perfect, was another factor. Okay, we've got some altitude here, so we've got what we need there, so I'm going to pull the power back here, drop our landing gear, and we're going to do a dirty, full dirty stall. Because this is the configuration you might be in when you're getting low, slow, and in trouble. So, idling back here on power. We're realistically a little bit low, but I can recover this. So we're at stall speed now. I'm going to hold it here. Give it a bit of adverse yaw to give it a bit of angular attack difference on one of the wings. Really nothing there. She stalls like a Cessna, but that's definitely not what I'm used to in terms of how the Carenados recover. Interesting. Let's get some altitude here, get back out of this problem. Not quite the insane rocket ship that some planes in the sim are. She definitely has some weight to her, even if it's not perhaps as grunty as it might seem. She definitely climbs very well. I mean, we are climbing quite aggressively here. There we go, make sure that's all where it needs to be. So if let's do a quick spiral climb, gain some more altitude. We're going up about 1,500 feet a minute right now, so we're not exactly being sluggish. Okay, got about 1,200 feet a minute there. We're slow, we're doing about 80 knots, but we're maintaining. Okay, bordering on stall there, don't want to do that. Now we'll do a clean power on stall. So I'm going to hold the nose up here as high as it goes. Hold the controls, full aft. Oh, yep, that's bitten more. That was okay. That's not bad. Okay, there's a lot more rattling and kind of sounds of things thudding around inside the cockpit when the aircraft's not particularly flying normally. So that's quite nice to notice. Okay. Let's go gear down here. We'll do a touch and go on the asphalt runway, and then we'll make our full-time landing on the grass. Because again, I want to see what it's like on the grass again. Just curious. You know, this isn't a bush plane with a retractable gear. It's good for flying through areas. But I'd be going to gravel or dirt, compacted runways. It's definitely not for rough surfaces. And I would not land this on sand, per se. We'll do a touch and go on the main runway, come around, we'll hit the grass, and land. Okay, prop makeshift full forward. Flaps are down to 20 degrees. We'll not go full, because we are planning to go around. And even though this has got 300 horsepower, it's more than enough power to pull through those flaps, as you saw on our stall tests. I don't particularly want to make my job harder, so I'm not landing with full. I just don't need it. Do we have decent sound with the windows open and the engines on? We do it. It's grade 80. It's not just A, B, you know, on, off. We actually have a gradation there to the sound. Okay. Bit more power. Just going to trip us over those trees. I'd like the power here. Good across the threshold there. Okay. On purpose. Trying to do a very high angle landing there. Nose right up and let it almost stall down onto the main gear. One flaps up. Power's good. And away. Way more attitude and nose up than I'd ever have for a landing normally. And I was coming with 0 power there to see what it'd do. See what it's like in all these configurations. Now we'll do a low and slow turn, which you shouldn't be doing. Yep, we're getting ourselves in danger. Low, slow, and not enough lift. She's grunting through it because of the power. And the power's the only thing saving us here. Please be aware of that. If we had less power on this engine, we'd definitely not be in a good position. Okay. We'll come back around, we'll touch down on the grass next to the apron, and we'll come to a stop. But so far, it's normal Carenado price. It's about £18, $20 or so. Effectively, 50% more expensive than their local Legends releases. Of course, the only real difference is you can switch out the radio stack, and most of them all have an autopilot. It seems hit and miss, because the 185 had the floats and the skis, Tundra tyres, and was a local Legend. Would have been £12. This, okay, it's got the RealXperience extra animations and things, same price as the F33 and the 182Q, so it's a bit of a hit and miss on what and why they justify these price differences, but it's a typical Carenado price that we all seem to be willing to pay. And if you like their products, this is good as an option to buy. It's certainly not a bad aircraft, and I think it has a bit more nuance and interest than some of the others have released. So I'd compare it to the 33 and say this is infinitely a better purchase than the 33, unless you particularly like that type of Beechcraft. But if you just want a good cruiser for cross-country trips, this might actually be way better. Although I will say that actually has better visibility. So 20-degree flaps, everything is configured for landing here. Gear is confirmed down. Okay. Side door slipper. Drift to aeroplano. Just to see what she does. A little bit of side away. Oh no. Not that. Let's not do that. Okay. There's the grass I want between the two taxiways. Little bit of power here. Just to encourage her along. Touchdown, flaps up. Definitely a bit on the rough side there. Bit boingy, bouncy, bumpy. That felt like a hellion ride. But we stopped fairly short there. It's not a huge amount of room between those 2 points, but we did our job. Okay, not bad. So what do I think of it? Yeah, it's worth it if you like Carenado planes. The RealXperience thing is nice, but you have to know where to look to find it. If you didn't know what a RealXperience feature was, you would not notice this plane had it. It is not a sim-defining or aircraft-defining feature that will change your entire experience of the simulator. They're nice additional little things to notice, but if you weren't told about them, you probably couldn't pick them out. There we go. Boom. Confetti. So there's Carenado's Cessna 210. I think she's worth purchasing if you like these aircraft. I'm biased, I tend to like a decent amount of Cessnas. It's fast, it's fun, it's got some neat features. Otherwise, 'tis but a Cessna. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!